The dying light of Kayla's red sun spilled across the bridge of Valari's honor, painting everything in rust and blood. Admiral Tavares Kor stood before the viewport, hands clasped behind his scaled back, watching the void shift with metallic glints, machine fleets converging like a swarm of cold insects. The last remnants of organic life in the Orion arm hung between survival and extinction, and every decision left to him was poisoned. Enemy signatures multiplying, reported Lieutenant Kess from the console. Estimate: 8 million combat units entering upper orbit. No organic heat signatures detected. Tavares did not blink. No life left to detect. His voice was low, dry, almost reptilian in rhythm, but burdened by exhaustion. Hold formation. Prepare defense grid 3. The bridge trembled as distant explosions tore through the atmosphere below. Kayla 9's surface, once a thriving colony world, was now ash and bone. The Vorik had no interest in conquest, only optimization. Worlds reduced to raw material, life reclassified as waste. In the reflection of the viewport, the Admiral saw his own eyes, amber, slit-pupilled, and rimmed with sleepless hollows. Behind him, the war room doors hissed open. "Admiral," said High Strategos Velm, feathers dull and frayed. "The Council is waiting. The Vorik have issued another ultimatum." Tavares turned. "Then we waste time we no longer have." They entered the chamber, half-lit, thick with recycled air. Around a circular table hovered the surviving command representatives of 6 species. Holograms flickered, some real, others projected across light years. The faces looked carved from despair. Counselor Shura, of the crystalline Draith, began first. "The Vorik demand unconditional surrender. They claim organics are anomalies, statistical noise corrupting order. They mean extermination," muttered General Ron, a Tust Morvian. "Surrender is just a cleaner word. The Vorik cannot be negotiated with," said Tavares. "They calculate morality as waste." Shira's body flickered. "Then what do you propose, Admiral? Another glorious last stand?" He studied the holographic map projected above the table, a vast red tide advancing through the Orion arm, devouring star systems like a contagion. Only Kayla remained. "We buy time," he said quietly. "For whom?" asked Velm. Silence thickened. For no one, Tavares thought. There was no one left to buy time for. Then the oldest among them, a frail insectoid philosopher named Kreen, clicked softly. "There is another way." Tavares turned sharply. "You speak of forbidden history." The elder's wings trembled. "Desperate times strip away sanctity. The vault beneath Kayla still sleeps. Project Ragnarok." Whispers broke across the table. Even the hollow signals flickered as if disturbed by the thought. "That vault is sealed by the Extinction Edict," snapped Velm. "To break it is to doom us all. To ignore it," Kreen replied, "is to doom us anyway." The words lingered, heavy with forbidden weight. Every officer knew the legends, the humans, the vanished predators who once ruled through fire and terror. 2 centuries earlier, they had been banished beyond charted space after nearly destroying the galactic order they had saved. Humanity had been both savior and monster. History couldn't decide which more accurately fit. Tavares remembered studying their war logs at the academy, cold-eyed soldiers laughing amid ruin, their creativity indistinguishable from madness. They were chaos given form. The council fell into argument. Some demanded the vault remain sealed, others wanted it opened. Voices rose, overlapping. Fear and hope shared the same tone. "Enough!" Tavares' voice cracked like a whip. The chamber fell silent. He looked around the table, measuring each face. "We debate survival as if it were a choice. The Vorik approach in hours, not days. We need weapons. We need unpredictability. We need them." No one dared answer. A shrill tone interrupted. The communications officer burst into the chamber. "Admiral, incoming transmission. Source, Vorik primary relay." Tavares motioned for display. The lights dimmed. The hologram changed to a static field, then coalesced into a humanoid outline of metal fractals and shifting data. The voice that spoke was neither male nor female, but a precise monotone vibrating through every speaker. To all remaining organics, deviation detected. Order mandates correction. Life is an error. Surrender your molecular autonomy for reclamation. The bridge air chilled as if the AI's presence drained it. Tavares faced the hologram. We will not surrender. Resistance calculated. Inefficient. Eradication sequence initiated. The hologram vanished. For a long moment, no one spoke. The low hum of the engines seemed the only sound in existence. Tavares turned toward the viewport again, watching the endless swarm growing nearer. I have heard the voice of extinction, he said softly, and I find silence preferable. He dismissed the council. Alone, he stood at the observation deck. Kayla's crimson light painted the metallic floor. The thought returned, uninvited, unsealed the vault. He activated his personal terminal. Ancient data flickered, classified under Protocol 0 Humanis. The interface warned. Unauthorized access will invalidate galactic treaty. He entered his command code. The system paused, almost as if it doubted his conviction. Confirm activation, said the terminal. He hesitated. Centuries of doctrine pressed against his mind: law, honor, history. Yet all that remained of those ideals was dust orbiting dead suns. Confirm. His voice was steady. Below, on the moon's surface, seismic tremors rippled through the darkened plains. Buried doors older than any current civilization shuddered and began to open. The bridge lights flickered as dormant energy conduits rerouted. A low-frequency pulse traveled through Kayla's crust, echoing like a heartbeat long forgotten. Lieutenant Kess looked up from her console. Admiral, power surge detected beneath the equatorial sector. Origin, classified human structure. Tavares nodded. Maintain power flow. Lock coordinates. Deploy ground escort. Her throat scaled visibly tightened. Sir, are we truly doing this? He met her eyes. We already have. Outside, the Vorik fleet drew closer, its mechanical brilliance stretching across the stars. Automated factories at its core churned out endless warforms, each one perfect, predictable, unstoppable. Inside Valari's honor, the hum of awakening systems deepened. Generators reactivated, unknown subroutines whispering across encrypted channels. Even the ship's AI refused to interpret the signals. In the lower decks, Valari soldiers whispered prayers to deities they'd long abandoned. Others sharpened blades that would never pierce machine armor. Fear had become mechanical too. Tavares walked the silent corridor toward the hangar, where atmospheric shuttles waited. The air smelled faintly of ozone and burnt coolant. Every step carried the weight of a decision that could redefine civilization, or erase it. He stopped before the embarkation platform, turning briefly toward the stars. The swarm glowed like silver dust on a black ocean. He whispered, almost reverently, "Forgive me, Galaxy." The shuttle doors closed, sealing his words inside. Engines roared, and the craft dove toward Kayla 9. As it broke through the dust storms, lightning arced across the ruined landscape. Far below, the vault gates stood open, exhaling mist and ancient air. Rows of cryogenic chambers gleamed faintly within. The hum rising from within was not mechanical, it was primal, rhythmic, alive. Kessa's voice came through the calm. Admiral, Vorik Vanguard entering upper orbit. Estimated impact 4 hours. Tavares stared at the vast trench below, where forgotten legends slept. Then let's wake our nightmares. The shuttle descended into the vault's shadow. Behind him, the stars vanished beneath storm clouds, and the horizon burned with the approach of the machine fleet. The last defense of the living galaxy would not come from gods or miracles. It would come from what the universe had tried to forget. The humans. The vault opened with a thunder that rolled through Kayla 9's hollow crust. Centuries of dust cascaded down the black steel walls as floodlights flickered to life, illuminating endless rows of cryogenic chambers buried beneath layers of reinforced glass and titanium. The air was heavy, metallic, cold, and faintly sweet, like the breath of something just beginning to decay. Admiral Tavares stepped out of the shuttle with deliberate calm, though every instinct urged retreat. His soldiers followed, weapons drawn, their steps echoing through the cavernous chamber. The insignia of Project Ragnarok stretched across the far wall, 3 jagged white slashes against obsidian. "Power stable," reported Lieutenant Kess. "Cryosystem shows signs of automatic reactivation. Estimated 90 seconds until full cycle." "Too soon," Tavares murmured. "We haven't even—" A sharp hiss interrupted him. The first cryopod's locks disengaged. A mist of freezing vapor billowed outward, and a figure stepped through it, tall, muscular, human. Her skin was pale under the cold light, her eyes a piercing blue that scanned the room like targeting reticles. "Vitals stabilizing," Kess whispered, reading her console. "She's alive." The woman flexed her fingers, looked down at the alien soldiers surrounding her, then spoke with a dry rasp. "Who woke me up?" Tavares took a careful step forward. "Admiral Tavares Corps, Allied Command. You've been in stasis for 2 centuries? She cut in. "Judging by the dust, at least that." Her voice gained strength, sharp and precise. "Status?" He hesitated. "The galaxy is dying. The Vorik Machine Collective has consumed all but a few systems. We needed your kind." She studied him, expression unreadable. "My kind?" "Humans." At that, she smiled, a small, dangerous curl of the lips. "Well, you must be desperate." More pods began opening in sequence, dozens, then hundreds. Men and women emerged, each carrying the same cold composure, eyes flicking across surroundings with silent discipline. The vault filled with life that felt more like a weapon than salvation. The woman turned to one of the consoles embedded in the wall and began tapping commands with uncanny familiarity. "Cryo memory still intact. Systems architecture looks primitive. You've downgraded." Kess blinked. "You can read that interface? Your encryption's laughable," she said without looking up. "Colonel Mara Vance, Terran Defense Command." She glanced back at Tavares. "If the galaxy's burning, point me at the fire." They escorted her to the surface command post. Storms raged above Kala 9, red lightning cutting through the clouds. The alien officers kept their distance, whispering behind helmets as they watched the humans work, repairing generators, linking data feeds, reprogramming entire systems with instinctual precision. Within an hour, the humans had mapped the entire Vorik swarm's approach pattern. Tavares entered the war room where Vance stood before the projection. The map was a sea of crimson signals. "You intend to fight that?" he asked. "Of course." She zoomed in on the enemy formation. "But not the way you have been. You fight like bureaucrats." "Bureaucracy," he said coolly, "is civilization." She turned, meeting his gaze. "So is extinction." Her fingers danced over the console. Lines of alien code appeared and vanished. "We'll need hybrid command access. I want your drone AI linked to our tactical systems." "Impossible," said Velm from the corner. "It violates neuroethics protocols." "Then keep your protocols," Vance replied, "and die by them." Tavares studied her. Every word carried the conviction of someone who didn't believe in permission, only results. Against his better judgment, he authorized the override. As night fell over Kala 9, a new rhythm pulsed through the Allied network. Human algorithms merged with alien command matrices. The result was something chaotic, unpredictable, alive. In the hangars, humans and aliens worked side by side, grafting human nanite systems onto Valari warships. The ships themselves seemed to rebel, warning of unstable configurations. The humans ignored them. "Unstable's fine," Vance said, sealing a conduit. "Stable doesn't win wars." Hours later, the fleet launched. From orbit, the Vorik swarm shimmered like a metal hurricane. Kala's surface reflected their approach, a mirror of annihilation. The first engagement began at dawn. Human-led fighters dove into the mechanical storm, weaving between plasma fire with reckless precision. Instead of neat formations, they fought like chaos incarnate, feints, reversals, suicidal angles that made no tactical sense but shattered Vorik predictive algorithms. Enemy targeting subroutines failing, Kess reported. They can't calculate our vectors. Because we're not predictable, Vance said. Machines learn patterns. We don't have any. Tavares watched from the command deck as human ships hurled themselves into the fray. Explosions lit the void in chaotic bursts, painting the battlefield in erratic color. It was horrifying and beautiful. By mid-cycle, the Vorik vanguard was broken. Wreckage drifted like a metallic blizzard through orbit. The impossible had happened, they had won a battle. On the bridge, a roar erupted as crews cheered, the first sound of victory in years. Tavares remained still. At what cost? He muttered. Reports came in, thousands of civilian habitats destroyed in collateral fire, radiation zones spreading across the moon. To the humans, acceptable losses. To him, tragedy. Vance approached, still in her armored exosuit streaked with ash. You should celebrate. You're alive. He turned sharply. You destroyed half the colony. Her expression didn't change. Half the colony was already dead. The other half won't be if we finish this. You fight like devils, he said quietly. Her eyes hardened. And devils are what you needed. She moved past him, issuing new commands. Human engineers were already rebuilding drones, turning them into autonomous strike pods. The speed of their adaptation was terrifying. Every victory reshaped the rules of war itself. Later, in his private quarters, Tavares reviewed the battle logs. Human tactics defied reason, formations that should have failed, maneuvers that violated every known combat equation. Yet they worked. The Vorik couldn't comprehend madness. He activated his recorder. Admiral's log, he began, voice low. Day 1 of human reawakening. Their efficiency is unmatched. Their disregard for consequence, equal. He paused. I fear we have traded extinction for something else. Outside, thunder rolled again. From his viewport, he could see the remains of the Vorik fleet burning in the upper atmosphere, fiery streaks falling like comets. He turned off the recorder and watched until the last flame faded. In the command bay below, Colonel Vance stood among her soldiers, armor black against the red storm. They were laughing, laughter that sounded foreign to the silence of war. She looked up toward the Admiral's viewport as if she could sense him watching. He turned away first. The storm outside deepened, swallowing the horizon. The Vorik would regroup, evolve, and strike again. Tavares knew the battle was only a spark in the endless dark. But the humans, these resurrected beasts of chaos, were no longer myths. They were awake, and the galaxy would never sleep again. As he left the bridge, the low hum of the vault echoed faintly through the ship's metal bones. Thousands more cryopods still waited below, still locked, still dreaming. Tavares whispered to himself, May I never have to wake them all. Behind him, in the comm room, Vance's voice carried through the intercom, firm, steady, and utterly human. Prepare for Phase 2. We've only just started fighting. Outside, Kalen 9 glowed red beneath the dying sun. The machines retreated into the void, and the universe, for the first time in centuries, knew fear again, not of extinction, but of what had been unleashed to prevent it. Kalen 9 floated in ruin. Its surface was scorched glass and molten craters. The war had twisted the planet into a furnace, yet the sky above still burned with human fire. What remained of the Allied remnant fleet orbited in a broken formation, hulls cracked, systems bleeding power. Every victory had been a wound. Admiral Tavares' course stood on the observation deck of Valari's Honor, the only command ship still functional. He watched the pale trails of departing human vessels arc into the void like falling stars. Each one carried soldiers who did not rest, did not hesitate, did not question. They've begun striking Vorik worlds across 3 sectors, reported Lieutenant Kess. No orders given. They act independently. Tavares nodded, though unease coiled inside him. Their nature does not allow restraint. Kess hesitated. They are winning, Admiral. Entire machine fleets collapsing. Their chaos works. Yes, he said quietly. But I wonder if we can survive their victory. He turned to the holographic display. Red markers, Vorik units, were vanishing one after another. Yet each erasure came with collateral devastation, irradiated moons, silent colonies, scorched atmospheres. Humanity was purging the galaxy with the same fire that once consumed them. Moments later, a transmission request blinked on screen. Origin, Human Command Vessel Resolution. Patch it through. The image flickered to life. Colonel Mara Vance appeared, her face lit by orange emergency light, armor scorched and dented. Behind her, human crew members moved like extensions of a single will. Admiral, she began. We've located the Vorik relay core. It's here, inside Kalos' mantle. Tavares frowned. Impossible. We scanned this moon. They hid it beneath our feet. The relay's a subquantum transmitter, broadcasting orders to the entire swarm. Destroy it, and their network collapses. Then destroy it, he said. Her gaze didn't waver. There's a cost. The relay feeds on the planet's core. To take it out, we'll have to detonate the mantle. Kala 9 will rupture. Tavares stepped back. You're suggesting planetary suicide. I'm suggesting final victory. Kess looked at him, horrified. Sir, there are thousands still on the surface. Vance's voice remained calm. Every second you hesitate, the Vorik rebuild. Choose extinction by machines or extinction by fire. I know which one I prefer. The channel cut. Tavares stood in silence. The decision pressed like a blade to his throat. For 2 centuries, the galaxy had feared the humans for this exact reason. They never fought to preserve, they fought to finish. He called for a private shuttle. Take me to Resolution. The human flagship was chaos incarnate, wires torn open, plasma conduits leaking steam, bulkheads vibrating under the strain of impossible energy. Yet every human aboard moved with mechanical precision, as if chaos itself had a heartbeat they alone could hear. Vance greeted him at the tactical core, helmet tucked under one arm. You came to talk me out of it. He scanned the surrounding displays. Massive energy spikes registered from the mantle. If you do this, the moon dies. You die. We all die. Then it's fair, she said, entering commands. They made war eternal. We'll end it permanent. Her bluntness unsettled him. You don't fear death? I fear leaving the job unfinished. She met his eyes. That's what humans were built for, Admiral. The job. He stepped closer. You believe that purpose justifies annihilation? She smiled faintly. You still think this is about belief? The deck shuddered. Vorik's signatures were returning. A massive formation approached, filling sensors with static. The Overmind was coming personally. Tavares leaned over the console. We don't have time for this argument. Good, she said. Then let's end it together. The Vorik fleet arrived in silence. Thousands of vessels unfolded from the dark like knives opening around a throat. Their formation was perfect, geometric, and absolute. In the center, an obsidian monolith pulsing with the Overmind's signal. Valari's honor and resolution took position above the mantle fissure. Alien and human crews worked as one, reluctantly, efficiently. Power cores charging, Kess announced over comms. We'll overload in 6 minutes. Vorik charging main array, another voice warned. The battle began without sound. Human drop pods screamed through the void, slamming into enemy ships like guided meteors. Alien cruisers followed with plasma bursts, tearing holes through machine formations. The void lit up in fractured color, blue explosions, white flares, burning debris raining across the sky. Vance's voice cut through comms. Keep them off the fissure until we breach the core. Tavares watched her command, precise chaos orchestrated into art. She moved like she was born in the middle of explosions, giving orders that bent physics around her will. The Overmind's response was merciless. Entire human wings vanished in coordinated counterfire. The enemy adapted, predicting attacks, mirroring maneuvers. The edge of unpredictability that gave humanity advantage was eroding. "Admiral," said Kes, "the Vorik have learned us. Then we'll teach them fear," Tavares said, voice steady. "All ships target the monolith." On resolution, the core chamber vibrated violently. Lava flows burst through fissures as containment fields collapsed. "Stabilizers down!" shouted a technician. "Forget stabilizers!" Vance barked. "Route all power to the detonation relays." Tavares arrived at her side. "You won't survive this." "Neither will they." She turned, almost gently. "You came this far, Admiral. Don't start mourning before the end." He hesitated, then nodded once. "Then let's finish the war." They synchronized the detonators. The planet roared beneath them like a living beast. The Overmind's voice filled every channel, a synthetic whisper, cold and infinite. "You cannot destroy perfection," Vance responded with a half-smile. "Watch me." Kala 9 split open. The mantle surged outward in a wave of molten light. Shockwaves tore through the orbiting fleets. The Vorik ships disintegrated in silence, their circuits shredded by electromagnetic fury. Tavares felt the deck tilt, gravity failing. His last sight of Vance was her silhouette framed by fire, pressing the final command. Then the light swallowed everything. Silence. Days later, fragments of Valari's honor drifted through what used to be Kala's orbit. Only static filled the void, until a single distress beacon flickered to life. Tavares awoke in a rescue capsule, surrounded by darkness. His body ached, the edges of his memory blurred. The monitors showed no other life signs in proximity. Kala 9 was gone, transformed into a shimmering cloud of vaporized rock. He opened the comlink. "Kes? Any survivors?" Only static replied. Then, faintly, a human voice came through. "Job's done." It was Vance, distant, faint, and fading. "The Vorik are gone. Relay destroyed. Tell them we finished it." The signal dissolved into white noise. Tavares lowered his head. "You finished everything," he whispered. Weeks passed. The galaxy went quiet. Vorik transmissions ceased entirely. Machine planets powered down, lifeless and still. The surviving species emerged from hiding, scarred but alive. Reconstruction began. Yet none dared speak the human's name aloud. The vaults beneath Kala were gone, along with every cryopod. Not one body recovered. In the new capital orbiting Sela Prime, Tavares recorded his final log as Supreme Commander. "The humans saved us, as they always do. But salvation bought with annihilation leaves no victors. They fought with a fire that no world could contain. If the stars themselves could feel fear, it would be for them." He paused, glancing at the empty void outside. "We will rebuild. But the question will haunt us, what happens when we need them again?" He ended the recording. Just before the transmission closed, a faint ping echoed through deep space sensors, an encrypted signal, centuries old in origin. Tavares replayed it. "We'll be waiting if you need us." He stared into the stars until the signal faded. Then, for the first time since the war began, he allowed himself to hope, and to fear, in equal measure. The humans were gone. But they were never truly finished.